Okay, this is Clinton Mitchell's Ultimate Controller Tier List.
Yep, I mean, we got all the main controllers right here, and they will soon be organized.
I have some really strong opinions about some of these controllers.
I have some less strong opinions about these controllers, so now let's get into it.
Okay,
They're organized almost chronologically, so let's just start
almost right.
with the NES controller.
Classic NES
I
controller.
want to put in different, maybe even bad, because those edges are pointy and hurt my
They're very
hands.
pointy. Yes, it is a very uncomfortable controller. I mean, it's better than anything that came before it, but compared to all the other controllers in front of us, it's not not that
Compared to
great.
everything else on this list, it's bad.
Yeah, I would put it in one of those two sections.
I'll just put in bad because if we're looking at every other controller on this list, comparatively it is
Right,
bad.
right.
Okay, we have the Genesis controller.
Genesis. Okay.
It's form-fitting to the hand.
It is.
It's got
My
some.
biggest complaint with the Genesis controller is it has 3 buttons, but yet you can't really tell which button your finger's on. They're all the same shape.
Well, the middle one's got the little nub on it.
It does, but some of the models of the controllers, that nub is very subtle.
It's true. Plus, yeah, uh, I feel like I get the buttons mixed up whenever they're in a line.
Right. I would put it a step above the NES, a little too indifferent.
It's indifferent. Oh, what's this? The Saturn controller?
Looks like it's the Saturn controller. I haven't had too much experience with the Saturn controller.
I mean, it goes better than the Genesis, that's for sure.
Right, it is a good controller from what I've used.
So is it all right or is it indifferent?
Man, I've barely used one, but I would say all right.
Okay, that's our first one. All right. Now we're moving on to the Super NES controller here.
Super NES, it's a pretty solid controller all around. My complaint, I kind of have a similar complaint with the NES one where it kind of hurts to use. The D-pad is pretty. Over time, they've become pretty creaky.
Yeah. It feels like I have to bend my thumbs really far inward to use it.
I would put since it has so many more buttons and yet it's a very functional controller. I would put it just in all right.
Before or after the Saturn?
After the Saturn.
Alright, here's go with this one.
Okay, we're doing the original PlayStation controller first.
Yes.
Okay, what's strange about the original PlayStation controller is that it's a pretty okay controller. The only thing is it's missing the control stick that the DualShock would later provide, and you really need that control stick for some of those 3D games.
Maybe I just have only used bad ones, but I feel like the buttons are kind of hard on it.
Right. The D-pad they're all separated, and so it kind of makes it feel a little weird. So I would put it either before or after the NES, or excuse me, the Super NES controller.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Just because of the ergonomics, I think it goes before the Super NES controller.
Okay.
And then we got the one with the DualShock.
Yes, the DualShock. They added rumble to it as well as the control sticks. I would. I don't know if I would say good.
Or is it just top of all right?
Because
it's definitely the best on the board right now.
That's true. That is true. Let's go with good. Let's go with good.
Good, okay.
It's an upgrade on all levels.
Okay, the N64 controller.
The N64, my goodness. It's funny, I've used this controller, ever since it released pretty much, and yet, to this day, I'm still like, how am I supposed to hold this? How am I supposed to use this?
Well, there's almost a little bit of genius to the idea of a controller that you can hold different ways, but they never figured out the best way to hold it.
Right, and the control stick is so flimsy. It's like it feels like it's gonna
The
break.
control stick is flimsy. I'm not even sure that there's buttons under the D-pad. I think they just glued those on.
Yeah. So, I think that would almost go under bad. Better than NES though, just
Certainly better
because.
than NES,
Yeah, just
but
because it's a little bit more comfortable. Just a little bit. Okay. Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
This is another one that I haven't really used much, but from what I've used of it, it seems fine. I think this was the first controller that had triggers. I could be wrong. Um, but I would put that either under good or all right.
Let's put under good just for the tiny screen.
The little VMU screen is cute.
Yep.
So that's what makes it good.
We gotta make a third category for cute screen,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and this will go under it, and the Wii U will not.
Oh.
Okay, so we have
The
PS2
PS2 controller.
DualShock.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the same as the original DualShock. I don't honestly know of any differences. Like, I mean, it feels a little bit different, but
I mean, it's just better, right?
yeah,
It's just better.
it's just a better version.
There you go. It kind of leaned when PlayStation finally leaned into what their current branding is.
Right.
And it's looked almost exactly like that for a long time.
Okay,
The
GameCube.
I like the GameCube controller. It's fun.
Some people say the GameCube controller is the best controller, but
It's not,
no.
but I really enjoy it. There's not a lot of controllers really have hierarchy quite like the GameCube controller does in both its visuals and its layout. I think it's a really interesting controller.
Yes. Plus, is this the most supported Nintendo controller of all time?
Uh,
It's worked on every single console since the GameCube.
well, that might just be. I mean, we got the NES controllers back. They've lasted for a long time. Plus, couldn't you get NES controllers that plugged into the Wiimotes?
You could, yeah.
So yeah, if it's not the NES controller, then it's the GameCube controller.
Okay, but where does the GameCube controller stand?
Hmm.
I would either put it at the end of good or just at the beginning of all right.
Do you think that the Dreamcast controller is better than the GameCube controller?
The Dreamcast controller definitely has a better D-pad, but yet the Dreamcast controller is missing a right stick.
But you don't really use the D-pad on the GameCube controller.
Well, if you want to play Game Boy games on your TV, you might want to use the D-pad.
I think it goes a little bit better than the Dreamcast, personally.
Okay.
And I would maybe even put it above the original DualShock, but maybe not the second one.
Okay, that's pretty fair.
Okay, the Duke.
Man,
The beefy boy.
that's a big one.
Our big strong son. Where does he go? Because I'm thinking he's pretty bad.
That is not. Yeah, that's not a good controller.
It's like they put buttons on a dinner plate.
You're right.
We got 4 different color buttons. We got a black and a white one. We have like this symbol in the middle that's like 2 square inches across.
Right. It's not a good controller.
No.
But
it was their first attempt. They can have one bad one because they kind of really picked up the pace after that, and that's when we got.
But this next one here,
the first corded. Yeah.
So now, if I recall correctly, they replaced the white and black buttons with the bumpers. I think with this one. I could be wrong.
That would make sense.
I could be wrong on that. So that's a huge step up just right there. But then they made it significantly ergonomic. Yeah, they made it significantly smaller. I would put that either at the top of all right or at the end of good.
I want to put it here in good. I want to put it right in the middle of good.
All right.
That's just my personal opinion. You could say otherwise. But then we just basically have the same thing, except it's got the fat little battery pack and it's wireless.
It's wireless, yes. The D-pad is different too. This was for the longest time. This was like the ultimate PC controller. Um, I would put it near the top of good. Yeah, I
Somewhere
would
in here, somewhere in
somewhere
this region. So
right. I would
is it
say better than GameCube.
better than GameCube controller? Is it better than the DualShock 2?
Mm, no, I feel like the D-pad kind of. It's not. They weren't. They don't. They weren't quite there yet with the D-pad.
Okay. So we have the Wiimote and the nunchuck.
Okay, so this is.
This is a little bit of an oddball out here.
It is. It's a strange one. Here's the thing: is the motion controls are not the best, but whenever you play some games like Super Mario Galaxy, for example, where you can
It's not
just
reliant on motion controls.
right, you can just kind of lay back and you can have your arms stretched out.
A little bit.
This is the best controller so far that we've seen where you can have your arms stretched as far out, just to be comfortable. You can be very comfortable with the Wii remote if you wanted to.
Well, I can't say that it's ever really been a desire for me in the controller is to stretch my arms out.
Well, maybe I'm just weird.
'Cause, I mean, that's just something I've never done on the Switch either. I don't like playing with the Joy-Cons in each hand. I don't like. I like having it like all attached as a unit.
Okay.
So
I feel like the game, or excuse me, I feel like the Wii remote and the nunchuck are both pretty solid controllers. I would put them near the top of good.
near the top of good. So where are we talking?
Um, after the 360 controller, yeah, right there.
See this right here. This is something that people would fight you on. Okay, we have the PS3 DualShock.
Now this is I can't really tell just looking at the image. Is this the
Wireless looks like.
DualShock controller or is this the 6-axis controller? Because those are both different.
I don't know the difference.
So the 6-axis controller released first, and it didn't have any rumble.
Hmm.
And then later they released the DualShock on the PS3 that they added rumble.
Okay.
So basically the only difference is rumble. Um, you know, I would. It's better than the PS2 controller,
So is it the top of
but
good?
yeah, I'm trying to think if I would consider it legendary. I think good is accurate.
Okay, the Wii U gamepad. This is another interesting one to rank with these.
Yes. So you know what's weird is I would almost put this under legendary, but the two things that almost stop me from putting it in legendary is the battery. The battery lasts like
Battery
two
life,
seconds.
and then the screen resolution.
Yeah, exactly. The screen, yeah, it's hard to tell what's happening sometimes on the screen. So, would it go at the in
Would you
good
put it
or
in good?
legendary?
I mean, it's up to you. You definitely use it more than me.
I think we can put that under legendary, just because it has so many features and so many unique capabilities. It never really got used to its full capacity.
I mean, it's basically just a Switch prototype.
Right. It's comfortable. It's a really comfortable controller.
All right.
Okay, so it looks like we have the PS4 controller.
PS4 controller.
Now, this is one of the top of the line controllers right here. I do say the touchpad is a little strange. The share button is a little odd too. But I would put it above the Wii U controller. This is the best controller we've had on the list so far.
Yeah. And then I think we have a pretty good rival right here.
Xbox One.
Xbox
So
One controller is definitely one of the most comfortable
it is
controllers.
for sure. Plus, it's besides working on the Xbox One, it also works on PC, so it's
Yes.
very
So
versatile.
yeah, I definitely get some more use out from me than most of these
So I would put it under legendary.
for sure.
And
Now
you know what? I think I like it more than the DualShock
I think I also do as well. Now
just
if it'll go
because
to the front, please.
just
There we go.
because the D-pad and everything on it is better. I feel like the triggers are way better than the DualShock's controllers triggers.
Plus, something we haven't really talked about at all. I think this might be the most customizable controller.
That's true.
Okay, so we have Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons are very tiny.
They are. I think it is fair to judge this as using two Joy-Cons as opposed to using a single Joy-Con.
So you're saying connected together as with the grip.
Either with the grip or using one in each hand.
Right.
Rather than using one sideways.
Yeah. Horizontally or whatever. Is it legendary or is it good?
I don't know. I mean, the drift issues are legendary.
Oh, that is true. They have a very high rate of failure. There's a lot of manufacturing issues with them. I think that would make him bump under good.
Top of good?
Yeah.
Please, it's hard to put them in the front. Alright, and then the last one, the
Pro controller on the Switch. This is one of my favorite controllers, so it's definitely legendary, but is as good as the Xbox One and the PS4 controllers.
It's definitely the best Nintendo controller.
Yes, I would agree.
I'm just not sure that they have what I think is really what's separating it from at least the Xbox One controller is the ergonomics. The Xbox One controller is a lot more form fit to the hand than this controller is.
The Switch controller, the Pro controller, it has HD rumble, but yet it's missing a headphone jack. It also doesn't have triggers.
It's true.
It has NFC, but it doesn't really get used that often.
No.
If we take all these things into consideration, I would bump it underneath the other two controllers.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that is. Is there any that you'd like to move around within categories here?
I know a lot of people are gonna be upset about the GameCube controller.
Yeah, probably.
I think this is good.
All right, there it is.
There's the ultimate controller list. Show us to your friends and
send us your emails. Send all your anger about the GameCube controller being below the Wiimote to Glenn's work email address.
Yes, thank you.
Bye bye.